Somebody hit. Perfect. So the fifth session in the series, Transitioning to Agentic Automation, today is about multi-agent orchestration with UiPath Autopilot. We still have next week. We will leave in the comments the links for the next week's session and for the other sessions as well. Those were also recorded, so you can check them out if you haven't been part of them yet. We have here Rohit, who's the APJ community lead, and Suhani as well from the team, our newest team member. We have Vibor from the team as well, and our amazing MVP Satish, Manoj, and Mukesh, who are going to be presenting today's session and sharing from their wisdom and knowledge about agents and everything else that's interesting for all of us. So make sure to register for the next session and we can get going.
Great. So thank you, Andrea, for the introduction, guys. And as we know that this is the day 5 of it. So we are doing the multi-agent orchestration. People who are joining, and in case you have missed any of the sessions, you can refer to the recordings, which are already available on the same page. We have also uploading the presentations as well, so you don't have to actually take screenshots and you can focus completely on this thing, right? So today we are going to talk about orchestration, specifically the new tool which is called UiPath Maestro. And with that, I'll hand over the session to Manoj. Manoj, so over to you. I can stop my sharing.
Thank you, Mukesh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth session of this Agentic Automation series. Let me quickly share my screen with you all. I hope this time I'm sharing the right screen with you. Just say yes, no.
You're
Perfect. Okay, so before we delve deep into this agentic orchestrations, let's first talk about something that we all face as we grow in our automation journey. I'm talking about the challenges. I'm sure most of you have been working in RPA for quite a long. Maybe you are building bots, something like extracting the data from different system, extracting data from Excel, send automated emails. So you have already seen that how this UiPath platform is capable of doing your automation. But I'm not talking about UiPath here. But once you try to move from like few bots to few hundred bots, or once you try to connect to different teams or different systems, things actually start to get a bit tricky here. So on the slide, you can see that uh, we have shown you three different challenges that we play as we like grow into more bots or we scale up. So first challenge here is called the limited process visibility. Let me just explain that into a very simple term for you. So let's say you have built a bot that first takes data from invoice and enters the data into a finance system. It works great. But what if I ask you who sends that email? What happens after the invoice is entered, or are there any approvals, or is there any check that is in place from the business side? Most of the time, we don't know. That's because we are just focusing on one step. We don't see the full process step from start to end. And the problem here is when we can't see the full picture, we can't fix the problem or improve the steps or make the better decision. So this is what we mean by the limited visibility, and it is a big roadblock when we try to scale automations to cover your entire business process. The second challenge is called cross-dependent tasks. Again, let me explain that you in a very simple term. So in real life, you know that work is often shared between multiple different teams, people, system, and even bots. Let's say if a if you create a bot where it just reads the data from some file, a bot reads it, and AI tool extracts some information, then it goes to some kind of a human in the validation, then we have another bot that updates the data into a system. So if you see here, all the steps here are quite of interdependent, and if one of them fails, maybe the AI system can't read the document, or your human actually forgets to approve the request, then the whole process gets stuck right there. So this is what I mean by your cross dependent task. Everything is connected and it is very hard to keep it all the things running smoothly if we don't manage the flow between all these steps, right? And the third challenge that we have here is fragmented automation. So different, you know that in a big organization, different team build different bots as per their need. HR builds a bot for employee onboarding, finance build a bot for invoices, IT has got some different profile. Each one is useful, as you can see here, but they work in isolation. They don't talk to each other, uh, they don't share the data, and most importantly, they don't follow the same rules. This also creates confusion, sometimes duplication of efforts, and even error as well. Maybe I can give you an example. Imagine a house where each room is built by a different person without talking to each other. So in that case, the doors may not be lined up, the plumbing might clash, and that's what your fragmented automation look like in a company. And if you read at the bottom of the slide, here's something to think about. A recent study shows that 72% of organizations says that their important business processes are getting harder to manage because of their scaling up, and that's a big number. And the reason is business processes are becoming more complex day by day, but we are still using the tools and strategies that were designed for simpler tasks, right? So how to fix it? Moving on to the next slide, if you see here, so again, let me just ask the question again, how to fix it? So maybe if I say we need to build more bots, or maybe I can just add a few AI models here and there. I again now I'll use the chat window here. Maybe I need to pull up a chat, and I just need a response from you that if I add more bots or create more AI model here and there, will it going to solve my problem? Yes or no? Just type in the chat. Thank you, Ashok. Thank you, Surinder. Thank you. Yes, the right answer is no. Building bots again without coordination is again like building more rooms in a house without planning. Sooner or later, the whole structure that you have created become a mess here. So we need a better way. And that better way, as you can see on the screen, is called agentic orchestration. And think of agentic orchestrations like being your traffic controller for all your bot, agents, AI model, and humans. So instead of everyone doing their own thing randomly here and there, orchestration actually make sure here tasks flow properly from one part to the next part, be it people, bots, and AI know when to step in. If there any kind of a problem with that flow, the problems get detected in the early stages and everything move towards the final goal smoothly. It is again maybe I can give you an example of orchestra. Maybe you have heard this before, where you have got each instrument playing at the right time in harmony under one conductor. But without orchestration, it will be just a kind of a random noise. But if you put a orchestration in place, it becomes a beautiful music that you can play. So this is what exactly this agentic orchestration will do. So let's talk about how it works end to end. So first thing here is it scales automation end to end, and you already know that today many of us automate small piece of work. We got a process, we work on that, we build some automation, we got another process, we build on that, then we got third process, we got fourth process, something like that. But the real business outcome happens when you connect the whole journey. Maybe in your journey there are 10 processes. In your journey, if you're working for a big enterprise, you might have hundreds of processes, you might have thousands of processes, which actually creates a kind of a whole journey. So here agentic orchestration helps you to stitch all these small tasks together in a full process. So from receiving a request from customer, to reviewing it, to processing the payment, to updating the detail into any CRM system, any financial system. So it is just not, if you see here, it is just not a task that you're automating. It is a fully end-to-end business process automation, right? The next thing, if you see on the screen, is talks about hybrid workforce. Now you might ask, what is a hybrid workforce? So hybrid workforce, it's a team actually, which you are going to hear a lot in the future. It's a team made up of humans, UiPath robots, agents, and even third-party robots or any kind of a other kind of a script. So in the future, your team won't just be your people sitting at desk desk next to you. It will be also include your digital workers. So orchestration here make sure that these teams, humans and digital, I'm repeating again, the team members, humans and your digital, work together without any confusion. Maybe again, let's take an example. Maybe a bot gathers information, AI reviews it, a human approves it, and other bot acts on it. The simple process that I explained earlier, and all these processes are happening in a flow automatically. So that's a hybrid workforce where we are involving everything into just one process. Talking about the third thing here, monitor processes. So finally, you have got orchestration, which kinds of give you a visibility. You can see what all tasks are running. With the help of AI, you can see where are the delays, where the errors are happening, and where are the chances of improving the things. And again, it is thinking of like another kind of a orchestration or a kind of a control center to improve your business processes. And with this, the system can even suggest some kind of a improvements, helping you to spot, okay, there's a bottleneck here, and there might be opportunity you might miss to automate. So you just see that and get it working. So before orchestration, your bot, as I said earlier, will be like some kind of a individual characters, where one process is doing this, other process is doing that, but they were actually not connected. But with the help of agentic orchestration, as you can see on my screen, it is like finally you bring them onto the same stage, under the same roof, following the same sheet. And this is where the real magic happens. Moving on to the next slide. So I've talked a lot about agentic orchestration. So now you might ask, what exactly is agentic orchestration? So agentic orchestration here means managing the entire life of a process from start to finish by connecting your human plus your digital team, robots, agents, people, and other AI bots, or it could be any other thing. Also it is just not about your running bots anymore. It is about designing, monitoring, improving, and running everything as one connected flow. So you are not longer thinking about task by task. Now you are thinking about process by process. Let me just again give you a very simple example. Think about you being like a director of a movie. So you just don't tell one actor, okay, you need to do this thing. You guide the entire cast, the lighting, the music, the editing, video editing, picture editing, everything to tell a powerful story. So that's what agentic orchestration does for a business process. It helps you design and build smarter process. So now you can design processes that are just not step by step, but real workflows that also involve. So we have got data that is coming from different system, it actions by bot, decision made by AI, approvals again made by people. You have got another orchestration is in place that monitors and that does your error handling part as well. So you plan it before you automate it, like you have got a white paper, you drawing a map before you starting a journey. And also with the help of agentic orchestration, once your process is running, so you have already built that, you've already know what needs to be done, you have already collected everything, be it your robot, be it your agent, be it your HIL means human in the loop. So you don't, and your process is running. Now you don't have to guess if things are working or not, because with the help of agentic orchestration, you can monitor everything live. You can also see how fast the tasks are moving, You can also check if anything is stuck there. You can also check if a system is down or not. If anything goes wrong, you can also build some kind of a alert system immediately. So you are in control all the time with the help of AO, agentic orchestration. And the third and best part here is, it is not like you build this orchestration once and forgets everything. So it is not like that. It is a kind of a continuous improvement, and we have seen that over a period of time when we started working on the RP processes. It is not like that we just build the process and the process runs fine for next 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. It always requires some kind of a change, be it any kind of a UI change, be it kind of a platform upgrade change, be it any kind of a change from the business side in terms of data, in terms of output, something like that. And similar to that, agentic orchestration is also a continuous improvement. But here you can see where delay happens. You can support your bottlenecks. You can process faster, smarter, and more resilient over the period of time. So here your bots actually just don't run similar to RPA. They coordinate. Your AI agents just don't answer it. They act at the right time based on the prompt that you pass. Your humans, they don't just fix the error, they works with the digital workers, your robots and agents. And your managers here don't chase the reports, they see the live dashboards and also get automated email alerts. So that's the future that we are building with agentic orchestration. And trust me, you as a RP professional are now perfectly positioned to lead this shift. So this was a starter on this agentic orchestration. Now I will hand it over to Satish, who will serve you the main course in the AO world. And if the time allows, then we have got some desserts from Mukesh. So over to you, Satish.
All right. Thanks, Manoj, for sharing the detail about what we are doing into the agentic orchestration. And I'll quickly share my screen and we'll go from there. Let me know once you're able to see my screen. Ispal, you're able to see my PPT, right?
Yes.
Everyone? Yes. All right. So, what Manoj just described is we are moving in an era where you don't need to only work with the robots, right? You need to work with agents. You need to work with a human in the loop. You also might need to work with an agent which is given by some other third-party systems or somebody who is not working in your organization, but something has to be manually approved and done in a third-party organizations as well. So if you have such kind of process, which where end-to-end orchestration of long-running process has to be done in a better coordinated way, the only option that being provided by the UiPath is utilize this agentic orchestration, which is AO. And how we can do that, I'll help you to explain and explore the various features utilizing which you should be able to build your agentic orchestration. So let me quickly share, and basically repeat it. Agentic orchestration provide you the 5 capability. One is how you should be able to design your process. That's the number one. We'll talk about how you should be able to implement your process. Then we'll talk about how you should be able to monitor your process and operate, and obviously the optimization, because it has the AI flavor. So it provides you the process matrices, right? Process mining is all enabled by default. So you'll understand by looking at the data that is given by the agentic orchestration to understand where my bottleneck is. Out of this entire big flow of invoice management, why my validate new invoices is failing every week. If I need to improve that particular piece inside that process, how we should be able to do that. All those answers will be given by the agentic orchestration. It is previewed in December 2024. It is going in production with the release that is coming up, which is 25.4, and it will be scheduled to go live, I think, by end of this month, which is happening around 30th of April. Now, talking about something more about what are the different personas or what are the different personas that UiPath is targeting for this agentic orchestration, right? We talked about 5 things, right? Model, and that means we have to model the process first, and then we have to implement it, and then the operations teams will come in and they'll monitor and see if something goes wrong or incident happens, how you should be able to trigger the process from the same point where the failure has happened, not necessarily from the start point. So in the middle of a process where it is stopped, you can resume that process from then and there. So that's the beauty of AO. And then obviously, if there are process excellence team or the analysis team inside your organization, they will be more interested toward understanding why my process KPIs are failing, why there are only 500 invoices processed in the last month, where is the bottleneck, which part of the process has to be optimized, and if we need to restructure some part of the process, which is the main point where I can go and restructure my process, right? So if we talk a little bit more about these personas, who will be doing what. So basically in these personas, let me quickly talk about what these personas are doing, right? Or what these individuals are doing, and who will be doing what in all of these, 5 different parts that I talked about, right? So when we talk about the process modeler, right? So how we do in RPA, we go and talk to the SMEs, right? And the SME will work with you to help you explain to design the as process and to be process. Gone are those days, man. So what we need to do is that we need to model the process right inside the tool with the help of SME and the business analyst. So business analyst, process SME or process owner will work together and design the workflow using the BPMN tool that I'll showcase to you in next 5 minutes. And there you should be designing the process. The next thing that will be done is, once your process model is being designed, what you can do, you can basically build those small blocks inside the bigger process to make it automated end to end. So the process implementation part will be mostly done by the RP developer. Process modeling will be done by the process SME and the business analyst. Process implementation will be done by the RPA developer and the solution architect. And then there will be process operating and monitoring team, which will be basically RPA support team, or sometime it is a RPA COE who is taking care of the entire processes that is running in an organization. They'll be taking care of the process operations and the modeling part. Then there will be persons like who is a business analyst or the process analyst, and their core goal and the KPI is to optimize the workflow, process efficiency, and reduce the inefficiencies in the process. They'll be taking care of the process analyst. So these are the target personas, and all these different people will be working on a different part of agentic orchestration framework or a tool as per se. So with this, I'll quickly move to the next slide, and I'll showcase you how these different parts will work together in an end-to-end workflow, right? I talked about the model. That means you need to design end-to-end agentic process using the BPMN construct. So far, we are using the flow chart. So far, we are using the notations of the flow chart and all those to build our edges map or 2B map. Now we'll be using BPMN, which is industry-wide uses and available for everyone to standardize the process. So we'll be using that. Then implementation, we all know we can build bot, we can build human in the loop concept using the action center. We can also capabilities coming inside the UiPath, where you should be able to build API events and the API based processes as well, and that is also coming in a preview very soon. So you should be also able to utilize that. Then the operate part is about controlling the specific instance of that process so that you will have a better operational analytics. I'll showcase you some of the diagrams and some of the screens. You'll understand what I mean to say that. And then the monitoring and optimization, you already understand. So we'll talk about the model part, we'll talk about the implementation part, and then I'll quickly go to the tool. We'll showcase you some demos and how you should be able to do it. And then we'll talk about the operate, monitor, and optimize part. So my entire session after this will be divided in a 2-part. I'll talk about the model and implement first. We'll go to the demo at the tool, and then we'll talk about the operate, monitor, and optimize, right? So let's first talk about what is model, right? So anybody who is from BPO industry, or anybody who has worked on Camunda or any other lot of orchestrations tools available in the market, you understand what BPMN is, right? Business process, mostly that is being utilized by the most of the industry player, right? And to do so, what UiPath has done is provided you the 2 capability. One is they have provided you the canvas. So with help of that particular canvas, you should be able to model your process using the BPMN construct, right? You can bring that processes even from the different tool where it has been created. So they have the capability to import the process which are following the BPMN 2.0 structure and the model. You should be able to bring that inside the UiPath. That's item number 1, and I'll showcase you the tool in next few minutes. Other thing that you need to talk about is it also comes with Autopilot capability. So you don't need to design each component on the BPMN canvas from the scratch. You can work with the tool with the help of Autopilot. You can instruct your instruction in a prompt manner so that UiPath Studio will understand and it will design the process automatically for you. It will give you the option to accept and reject. It will also allow you to change anything you want. But think about a situation if you have a very big process and all by saying few words in a prompt, it will design a model for you, how easy it would be and how much time and effort will save for everyone, especially the business analyst and the process modelers or the process SMEs. So that's about the model part. Once you do the model, right, what you do, you implement that model for the automation, right? And for doing so, what I'll do, I'll stop sharing my presentation here and I'll quickly go to the tool and help you understand how you should be able to do that. Okay. So let me quickly bring up my screen. I think I have those things open already in my system. So this is the URL. Okay. bpmn.uipath.com. It is publicly available for anyone to use even without the login. So even if you don't have the UiPath licenses, you should be able to use and utilize without any access control. All it does is it provides you the canvas to create or model your processes, right? So that means if you are on a client location too, and you want to model the process, you should be able to utilize this URL and model the process with the help of Process SME on this particular canvas, export this particular design that you will build here, and then bring that into the UiPath Agentic Orchestration capability, which is a different tool which you can access from here, which is UiPath Maestro. Okay, and I'll showcase you that as well. But let's quickly look at how it will work. Okay, so for sake of simplicity, I do have a lot of examples that is created, and Manoj will share those in a chat as well, and we'll upload that as a artifacts to this webinar recordings as well, so that you can practice that out. But on a very high level, if you want to understand the capability of BPMN elements for the modeling, they starts with the first thing, which is called events, right? And it will always start with a start event. In UiPath, what UiPath has done is they group them into 5 categories. Okay, those categories are gateways, task, events, data, and participants. These are the 5 categories. And with the help of these 5 categories, what you should be able to do is you should be able to design the entire process on this particular canvas. So let me showcase you few things only. I'll not be able to cover the entire concept of BPMN here because that is beyond the scope of this webinar, and it is a subject itself, right? So what I'll do is I'll quickly present you one PDF, and this is a very good explanation of what BPMN process modeling and notation looks like, right? So anybody who is interested in understanding more about BPMN, you should follow this cheat sheet, one PDF that will help you to understand entire thing about the BPMN, terminology. One thing that is we are more interested here in UiPath is about the task, and then the transactions, event and sub process, call activity. Then you have a lot of these events, right? And then these are non-event. So let's understand the difference between what is events and what is the non-events, right? When we say, or when we start modeling our process using the UiPath, we'll have an opportunity to start a process with the help of some events, right? Those events could be, receiving an email, right? You can create that event with the help of message received using the integration services connector, right? So that's item number 1. It could be a possibility that you want to run your process when a task is being created into some external third-party system, or using the API automation, you received a task. So that is also a task-based event. Then you have a lot of other tasks which are non-event, right? Like you have user tasks, you have service tasks, you have business rule tasks. And these tasks can be delegated to, right? We talked about the human, we talked about the digital worker. So we can delegate those tasks to human, we can delegate those tasks to digital worker. And once they complete, before completion, they have to receive that, right? So there is also activity called receive task. and on that task they'll work and then send the task back to the originator so that they'll receive the update on that particular. One thing that I talked little bit about is UiPath has also brought up a new concept called business rule, right? So far, what we are doing, we are writing the business rule inside the RPA process itself, right? So if we have to make a decision, right? Say, for example, I want to give a discount percentage on the basis of a retailer of the category, right? A retailer category is a gold, I want to give 25%. Retailer category is, silver, I want to give 20%. Retailer category is general, I want to give 15%. So all you do is you put a if else or a switch condition inside the RPA flow and you design that. You don't need to do that. You can utilize the business, rule engine outside the RPA workflow, put all those conditions in that rule, call that business rule inside your RPA flow, and it will be executed. The beauty of that would be the business rules will be outside of your process, e.g. maintainability, and operations team will be able to control that outside the bot boundaries, right? So I'll showcase you that as well. But on a very high level, I'll quickly showcase you how you should be able to build your process modeling in this canvas. I'll not explain each of the elements here because that will take a long time. But what I'll help you to explain how you should be able to start and how you should be able to play around this tool capability. So this is the first thing that we do. We have this notation, which is start event, then immediate event, and then end event. So anything you do goes between start and end. And then after start, you have task, right? So you pull out a task. Then when you pull out a task, there are different kind of tasks inside a UiPath, and those task category can be changed with the help of this change element button. So you click on this change element, a new pop-up window will appear, and then you have the capability of defining, is that a user task? Is that a service task? Is that a send task? Is that a receive task? Is that a manual task? And the one beauty that I really love about UiPath is the business rule task. That helps to solve a lot of problems that you used to have. Then you have a script task. Say, for example, you want to call a PowerShell script inside your process. You can define a script task. Call activity and sub process is nothing but calling the another process as a child process. So with the help of this, you should be able to do. So say, for example, I want to say this as a service task. So I'll say service task. So this will become a service task. You should be able to configure name and everything. But one thing you need to note here, when you're designing this, it is not asking you and allowing you to configure which service task I should be able to run. The reason being, this is only canvas. This is not allowing you to orchestrate or implement something. If you want to orchestrate and implement, you need to utilize the AO, which is from here. And if you go to the Maestro from here, and when you start modeling, here it will allow you to also select which process you want to run that as a service task. So I'll do the same thing, which I done here, right? Start event and then the service task. But here, when you do so, I'll bring a task here. What I'll do, I'll connect this task, with this service task here, and I'll then change this task as a service task. But this time, when you do it, it will give you the opportunity. What kind of service task is this, or what kind of task it is? Are we going to run an RPA flow? So if you want to run an RPA flow, you can say start and wait for RPA flow to complete. You can define your input and output parameters as well. Similarly, I want to build agentic task. So I'll bring agent task here. I'll connect this again with here. And then for this, I can also wait for the start and wait for agent to finish. So this way, you should be able to model a bigger flow. You should be also able to utilize these gateways, right? Gateways is also a very powerful construct, because the help of the gateways, you should be able to model your process, whether you want to run the sub steps in a parallel processing or you want to run them into the complex gateway. So there are a lot of capability here. So you can bring the exclusive gateway, which basically yes and no. You do have a capabilities of parallel gateway. You do have capabilities of event-based gateway. And when you pull it parallel gateway, you should be able to run multiple tasks at the same time, right? So like this, and with the help of this one, you should be able to connect, multiple, you should be able to connect this one too. And if you want to bring any more like agent as well together, and you should be also able to connect this one. And but with this exclusive one, there is a only opportunity to connect two parts, right? Yes or no. So I can keep building this, help you explain, but I have a lot of examples for you to showcase. Those are already been built. So what I'll do is I'll quickly import one of the example that we have talked much in this webinar series, which is the loan processing, right? You can export it using this way. Similarly, you should be able to import a file. So click on the import and you should be able to import the file from here. So if you import that, you should be able to see that it has pulled out the entire workflow in a nicely format and anybody can understand what it is happening. But again, here you don't have any opportunity to configure which process you should be run. So you can look at that when an invoice is created, this is a message based event. So when something happens, you should be able to talk about the wage for connector event, and then you should be able to configure, and accordingly for each of these, you should be able to define your input and output, right? So what I'll suggest here is to understand the working of all of these elements, right? How these BPMN elements works and what is the meaning of those, very similar way that we have learned about the flow chart. You can learn about these things, right? And UiPath provided a lot of capability. With the help of this, you should be able to do it. Other thing I wanted to talk about this, is the autopilot. So with the help of autopilot, you should be also able to design this by just prompting and explaining what kind of process you wanted to automate, right? So let's quickly go back to the main screen, and what I wanted to showcase you how you should be able to implement it, right? How the implementation for this will work, right? We talked about the modeling, right? If I quickly go to my PPT, so we talked about this modeling, right? What about implementing? How we should be able to implement it, right? So we briefly touched based that this seamlessly integrate UiPath and third-party agentic task as well. Note it down. Not only the UiPath-based agent, but agent which are created on a standard framework like LangChain will be supported by the UiPath, and you can bring those agents in an implementation phase to the agentic orchestration. Okay, RPA we all know we can do, human in the loop we can do, and then the API events that is also coming new to the UiPath platform. And with the help of API based event based orchestration, you should be able to design a very long running and the complex processes with the help of agentic orchestrations. Second thing that I wanted to talk about is the business rule. This is really helpful, guys. And I explained you, right? So far, what we are doing, we are writing all of these things into the if, else, and switch based conditions, right? Instead of doing so, what we can do now is we can define these business rules in any other decision model notation tool available in the market. And you can design that outside, you can bring that in a UiPath too. There is also a capability in a UiPath orchestrator as well, and there you should be able to design this as well. I'll quickly showcase you how you should be able to do that. Let me open this. And in the orchestrator, you will see a new tab called business rules. You can see it here. You can create or bring that from another folder. So all you need to do is a create. You can give it a name, and then you can import the business rules, which is created outside in a DMN format. DMN format is a pretty standard format used across many organizations. So anyone who has worked in a BPO industry, they understand what I'm talking about. And you can bring those business rules outside the bot, and the decision will be taken care on the fly inside the agentic orchestration to do and perform certain tasks, right? If you want to build, let's take example of this invoice approval decision. If invoice amount in so and so, vendor status is approved, let the approval has to be approved. So all those decisions you can bring it here, and then you can publish that as a decision, rules called invoice approval decision. And inside the agentic orchestration, you will call this business rule, and that decision will become as output. One thing that you need to note is it also provides you the hit policy, right? So hit policy is like how you wanted to evaluate these rules in a sequence. So it could be first. That means the moment the first rule get validated, come out of this, right? The moment you get a true, come out of it. It could be combination of all, collect. It could be unique. It could be team. So all those hit policies also possible to manage in a business rule configuration in a UiPath. This is preview. We'll have a better or detailed session about how we should be able to do it. But I just wanted to explain this is possible with the help of agentic orchestration, and it solves a lot of problem that we face today in terms of creating a bigger process. Other than that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how it will look like in the monitoring tab, how the operator, right? Operator will see this process on their dashboard, right? So whenever you will run agentic orchestration, that will be counted as a one instance of that process, right? So if you have 50 invoices coming in, each invoices you should be able to model to run as a one instance, or 50 invoices in a batch as a one instance as well. It's all depend how you want to configure that process. But what I wanted to tell you here is on the process overview dashboard, you will have capability to see the instances. You will have capability to see the incident where inside that bigger process my bot or agent has failed. You will have, look at this. So this is in Y process. It's a lot of the processes running inside. Some of them are sub processes, some of them are agent. They are running, they faulted, and all those kinds of things. You should be able to see it. This will also give you a more detail about when and where it has failed with the colors as well. So if you look at the green color, those parts are completed. And when you look at the red color, that's where it has failed. And with the help of execution trail, which is here, you should be able to see and understand why it has failed. I'll showcase you quickly. There was a new release that happened few days back. So my example is broken, but still I'll showcase you how the go-to steps will work, and you should be able to look at the instance and all those details. So this is all about the operate. Then you already know about the monitoring, right? So the support person or RP support should be able to monitor with the help of process dashboard. And similarly, they also able to see the process heat map, how many times that particular steps has been completed, how many times it has failed, what is the average duration, and all those things. Some of these features went live only few days back. I have also not explored all of these, but I am pretty much excited to cover these in a detail when we'll have more time in some of the other sessions that we'll do in future. But other thing that I wanted to talk quickly here is not only this, right? Monitoring, designing, and implementation. It also provides you the capability to analyze the process in a real time, right? So process optimization or the process mining happens automatically when you are running this AO-based instances of the process. This will help you to understand how many applications are being used, which part of the process has been traversed most, is there any bottleneck, is there anything wrong that is happening inside my process at certain point in time. You should be able to optimize and take care of all those decisions with the help of this. So with this, I'll stop sharing my screen here again, and I'll go back to the screen where we have this process. Sorry, I'll close this canvas because we cannot run that from there. But to run it or to show it, I'll quickly open one of the example of the loan processing, and I'll showcase you how you should be able to run and how you should be able to navigate to those dashboards and everything. Okay. So this opened in a designed mode. First, let me go to the home page. Okay. And then after we'll come to the design part. So you will see these two tabs here, right? And with the help of these two tabs, instances, you should be able to monitor. Nothing is running on my instance, so that's the reason it is not showing here. But you should be able to see all the running instances here with the help of this particular tab. And similarly, the incident that happens will be showcased here. And it went live only a few days back. I mean, 3 days back. So we still need to explore more. But what I'll do quickly is I'll quickly go to this a particular example, okay, and how you should be able to run and showcase it here. So very similar to what experience that we have in a studio web, right? This is the same studio web kind of unified interface. And from here, if you design your process using this way, right, and you want to, run this, what you should be able to do is you should be able to test and debug from here itself. And the moment you will start debug and test, you should be able to see this execution trail, and with the help of execution trails and the variables that is there, you should be able to see all those details of everything in this particular screen itself. So it is very helpful, very powerful though, but there are still few features that is still not live. I'm waiting for those. You can refer to the documentation that how those features will come. But all in all, it's a very powerful feature. And with the help of agentic orchestration, you should be able to design a very long running process, binding together the robot, binding together the human in the loop, binding together the decision, business rule, and everything. And if you look at this example, this one is a message. Okay, sorry, I'll go to the design mode to help you explain how it is designed. Okay, so this one is nothing but a message event start, right? And with the help of this input and output, you should be able to configure what you want to do. Similarly, this is nothing but a service task, which is a process that runs and start an workflow, and you should be able to select your automations, which are automation you want to work. And the moment you select your automation, you should be able to map these outputs for the next step. Similarly, in this next step, if you look at here, this is a connector based event. This is a receive task, right? This is basically not a automation. It is waiting for some event to occur with the help of integration services, and you are waiting for that event to appear, and with the help of connector you should be able to subscribe to that particular event. So let's take an example. You are waiting for a record to be created in a Salesforce, right? So with the help of these receive task activity, you should be able to wait for that, and the moment that task will be created, you should be able to move to the next step, right? So this is also a receive task. This is also a receive task. This is a RPA workflow. This is again a RPA workflow. Then this is exclusive gate where it will decide if there is no, what I am checking a condition, and if there is a yes, I'm checking a condition. Once this invoice is approved, it will go here. Then this is again a service task, which is a RPA workflow. This is again another RPA workflow, and so on and so forth. So with the help of this, you should be able to do. Here you will also see an agent task. Okay, that is a user task. A person has to do manually, or you should be able to define a different kind of task. So you can create an action app task. You can start and wait for agent. You can start and wait for an API workflow. You can do a lot of things. So a lot of things to explore. A lot of things are in an early preview. We also did get a chance to explore all the capability that this platform provide as of day to day, but very exciting, and hoping to have good use of this tool. So with this, I'll open up the floor with the questions or any questions that you have. Okay, and we'll take those questions one by one, and then I think Mukesh can moderate that. Mukesh can help us to select the questions from a chat, and then we'll conclude these sessions with few more discussions point. Yeah, over to you, Mukesh.
Great. Thank you so much, Satish, for the insights on this orchestration. I think some of the questions we have already mentioned, and there is one common thing that where are we going to get this artifacts, right? So guys, we are going to upload all this BPNM, the cheat sheet, the presentation, everything on the same link where you registered. So we will upload everything post the session and you should get it soon, right? Now, if I talk about the question, there are only two questions on the chat which I see are not answered as of now. One is from Snehajit, who says, when we have an agent into the process, where exactly the action take place? Any idea what code is running behind?
Okay. So when we say agent, right? So when we build agent, we publish that as a workflow. I don't know if you remember from the previous session. So I'll quickly showcase you that capability as well. So when we build the agent, right, we publish this agent as a service task and it goes to the orchestrator. So we have built these many agents in the past session. And if you go to the orchestrator, okay, in that orchestrator, you will see that particular agent is published as a service task. You can see this. This is an agent, right? And this is a service task. So you should be able to configure where you want to run this, right? You want to run this on a cloud robot, you can go and run that. If you want to configure this to run on any other machine, you should be able to do with the help of same way that you do, right? All you need to do is configure the machine and then pass the input and output, right? So this is how the agent will be orchestrated. Those configuration will remain in the orchestrator, right? What this is saying is which process you want to run, where it will run, which account it will run, which credential it will utilize, all those will be still handled in the orchestrator itself. So everything will remain same for the RPA process. The only thing that we are doing here is we are triggering that process where it is supposed to run. And once that process gets completed, controlled will be returned to the caller. That means the previous event or the previous action that has called that particular task. And this way, there will the communication happen with the help of input and output parameters. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Satish. And if you guys have any follow-up question, you can raise your hand. So once we are done with the chat, you are allowed to speak, right? There is a question from Tom, right? Who says that how does designing process in Maestro affect the best practice of state machine design more complex process? Is it like designing in RPA automation and invoking through those BPNM, right? So same like we have today robotics enterprise framework, which we are using today to build our automation using state machines. We have a lot of best practices. Now with this BPNM coming in picture, do you see it that we are designing small robot into there and then using those robots into the BPNM? Any best practices?
Not necessarily. So there are a lot of best practices available on a market, right? About the BPMN is not new in the industry. It's just that UiPath is trying to utilize the same concept that is being taken care by a lot of vendors existing in a market. What we are saying here is there are many processes which span across the department, which span across the agent, human, and whatnot, right? You can think about a loan processing process, right? I'll quickly bring that. So if you have a loan processing process, right, what you do that goes through many departments, right? It's not that everything that you do happens in a one department or only by the automation. There are people who will approve some of these things. There are external party who will do the evaluations of your profile and produce the result and say that this person is a trustworthy or he do not have any financial obligation to run from the country. Then he'll approve that loan, right? All those underwriter review, and income verification, employee verification, and property appraisal, those are different and distinct processes. They may or may not utilize the same system and same enterprises. So they might, be running. So if you look at here, this is a manual process that will happen somewhere outside your boundaries. All you are doing is you are implementing a mechanism where you will be controlling the outcome of that particular decision that has happened. And based on that decision, you will move inside your process for the next step, right? So third party company doing employment verification, he is going to go ahead. Then you are just coming here, passing that as an input, and your bot is moving to the next part of your loan processing. So it will, there are a lot of best practices, especially in terms of, how you will be able to model a process when you have lot many transaction item to do. So there is already participants and lanes and some of the concepts are there. I didn't cover those things because, it will be too complicated for the first instance. But there are, concept called transaction. There are concepts called pool, which represents a major participant in a process. And inside a pool, you can create a transaction and then the event-based sub-processes, and a lot of complications you should be able to build into this. But for the sake of simplicity, yes, there is a best practices. And I know also from the UiPath product team, they are building some of the templates, utilizing all those best practices. So my ask would be, before building your own process, go and look at how the UiPath team has created those templated. So you should be able to understand what best practices I should be following.
Great. And then there is a question. It's something like, it's not a question, I think it's kind of a comment, right? That when people are trying to run it from Maestro, it's showing no execution trail. I think it is because of the preview, right? It is still in
Yeah, this is
progress.
big.
So yeah,
This
it's
this
because of
app,
preview.
I can tell you, I'm in a stage environment and it was down for multiple hours, few days back. And then there are some so there are a lot of background work is being done by the UiPath development team, and UiPath team is continuously pushing some of these changes like I talked about, the process monitoring and all those things. Those were not available few days back, and I included in the PPT just day before, I mean yesterday only, right? So a lot of changes happening, and by the time this will become a GA, you will have more stable version of this product.
Correct. And then in terms of recovery, right, Satish, how do you see the agents getting recovery from the agent should be fault tolerant, right? And what are the recovery steps as a developer I can take to make my agent fault tolerant?
See, in the orchestration, we are not building the any best practices while we have to follow that at the building stage, right? So all the best practices that you follow for your RPA bot, right? You put retry, you put validations, you do a lot of stuff for RPA bot to be stable. Similarly, for the agent has to be stable, you do a lot of evaluations, lot of tracing, lot of LLM, LM evaluations, decision evaluations, and evaluation sets, and all those kinds of things, right? So based on all those exercises, you finally publish that process to be used in a production, right? So all those activities are still relevant. It's not that you'll build an agent and you build that agent in the first day, include that here, it will work perfectly. No, that is not going to happen. All it is giving you is that bringing the world of the digital workforce, human, robot, and agent together to work in a seamless manner, passing and offholding and holding hands, right?
Yeah,
Rest other thing, designing, development, and everything will happen the way we do today. That is not
exactly.
going to change.
And that has answered the second question as well, right? That, for example, how do I make sure that I'm not hitting the API multiple times, caching layer is taken, proper exception handling is there? As you mentioned, it is all part of your existing automation processes,
Yep.
what you were doing already as well, right?
The only
And
thing,
yeah,
the only thing that you need to note here is how the communication between this particular, this is a, sorry, I don't know why it is. Okay, so if you look at this is an event, right? And this is a service. So if you look at this service, you will see that this communicates with the other services, right? And how that communication will happen? Communication will happen with the help of input and output parameter that you pass between, right? So it's still the responsibility of you as a developer to make sure that you are passing out the right input inside the service task, and then bringing out the right output for the next step to process, right? So you should be bringing all those conditions. I did showcase that, I think, this invoice processing, right? So it's still on our case that we need to, like this, all these, right? All these output conditions and everything. You need to take care of that. And with the help of this, you should be able to control the behavior of the entire long running process, right?
yeah. Then there is a question from Karan that how many processes can we run at a time, right? It is again the same thing, Karan, right? To run, example, if you have an unattended process, you need a robot. If that currently robot is executing an unattended process, the other one are anyways going to be pending, right? So yes, from this orchestration point of view, you can trigger the processes, but you need to have the available licenses, you need to have the available run times, and then again depends what is your task. If it is a background automation, it will happen in the background. If it is an API automation, that will still happen. Satish,
So
you want to add something to that?
yeah, I want to add same. So say for example, here it is based on the message, message event, right? Or email event. So what will happen? A email came, one instance will be triggered. Next email came, next instance will be triggered. So, and then this process will be triggered. But this process is not configured here in a way that where it will be running, right? It is still configured in the orchestrator. So if it is running on orchestrator, next job will be in waiting state for the first instance job to be completed. And once that completed, the next instance will be triggered, and so on and so forth. And you should be able to see that 100 instances are there. All of them are running. Some might be executing this step, some might be executing this step, some might be executing this step. All instances working at the same time, running the different part of a long process. Yeah.
And then Kanika has a chat saying that I created an agent, extracted something from the web, sent an email, but it is not working. What could go wrong, right? Couple of things might go wrong. Your SMTP or the connection to that email is not working. The data is not there to be extracted, right? So you just need to debug the flow. You can use the agent traces and see. It can be something like the data is
So
not extracted. Yeah, Satish can show where exactly you can see what is happening to the agent.
yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, what you can do is, let's take example of which agent we built last time. I think this one we built. Yes. Okay. So you go to the traces. Okay. And then on the traces, you look at the traces, and then each traces will tell you what has happened with this
What is
particular,
happening?
and you will
Yes.
see that error here. So every call, every steps that you perform in agent will be inside the trace. And in that trace, you should have all those details, what is extracted and what you are passing as a parameter. One thing that you need to carefully do here when you are passing something as a out is defining that as an argument. So if you have this output schema defined, make sure you use those curly braces before this argument, schema, so that it is being taken care by the agent, because agent understand those as an input and output when you pass them with a curly braces.
Curly braces. Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Satish. And then I can go to Darshan questions that how can you deploy it on the server and interact with SAP and other applications, right? So SAP, other application is again your RPA automation. The how today you are integrating with SAP. If it is directly available as an connection, which Satish was mentioning as a tool, you can directly do with the agent builder. But if there is something which is not available, let's say UI automation, there you can also invoke a process, execute it, and then you can do, right? And how do you debug and all? This is the way which Satish was showing just now, right? You run the agent, it will show the traces, you know what is happening, rerun it, add to the evaluation set, then you will get all the answers. So, and then Satish, I think that's how do you get access to the staging environment? So staging environment is kind of a logged environment. So Satish has access to it because he's a UiPath MVP and it's mostly for the product team. And then to do all of these features, what you can do is you can always get to Insider portal, register yourself, and then you can opt for the testing. Whenever the new product is getting released, it will be added to your tenant, and there you can have all this access, right? So
Yeah.
that would be the best way to get it.
Yeah, and I think this one is already in public preview. So
Preview, yeah.
preview, right? So you'll get access of this. That's not a problem. But this, for enabling this, reach out to your account or create a ticket on Insider. I mean, just giving your tenant ID, you should get access of that.
And then Jacob, I have a question, Satish, that how it is different from triggering the agent from assistant using a prompt where you have all the agents configured in a single folder.
Uh, See, it is not very much different. It all depends of how you want to orchestrate it, right? I keep talking about that this is agentic orchestration, and all those things, right? But if you look at carefully how it is happening, it do have some of the AI based capability, but AI is not taking care of which steps need to be executed next, right? So you have many choices to orchestrate it, right? What you can do is you can build an agent, and that agent will decide which part will be next executed, and then other agent will work accordingly. So that's the number way, and then you can trigger that master agent from the assistant or autopilot. I'll quickly showcase you how you should be able to do agent calling another agent is. Let's take example of oh sorry, I'm on a different, too many products, right? So I'll go to the agents and then quickly go to the KYC validation that we did in the last webinar. And if you quickly go here, you will see here in tools, I am using 3 capability. One is agent. Agent is calling another agent, right? So this is also one way of multi-orchestration, right? Agent is calling another agent. Agent is calling a process. Agent is calling activity. So it's all depends on your use case. If you have really more complex orchestrated through the different time zone, different systems, different organizations, digital worker, human in the loop, then you go for the agentic orchestration. But if your process is simple, it can be orchestrated in a single instance. Utilize the agent calling another agent or a process calling another process. There is no need to make it more complicated. It all depends of what kind of uses will be required. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that was the last question, Satish, on the chat. I don't have anything else. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Feel free to ask any questions you have. I mean, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah.
We still have few minutes. We can cover 2-3 more
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
One is about licensing, right? It is utilizing AI credits.
Yeah, it will be utilizing AI units, to be very frank, and UiPath is also coming with the new model where you will have dollar equivalent credits, and each product will be utilizing a fraction of dollar to use that product. So that is also in pipeline, but for now it will be using AI based units.
Okay, so I hope that
Yeah,
answers your questions. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Narendra.
I have few questions. First one is, say for example, if I'm building multi-agents in Maestro,
Mhm.
can I use different LLM models for those multi-agents? Say for example, for agent one, can I can use GPT, Anthropic Claude, or something
No.
like
Yeah,
that?
Naren,
Yeah.
sorry to, yeah. So I'll repeat it. Agentic orchestration is the orchestration. You are building a multiple agent, right? So those agents you have to build in an agents studio, and there you have option to select different model. You can see my screen, right? So for one model, let's take example that you wanted to build 2 agents. Agent number 1 is stock analysis. For this one, you can select this GPT model. And if you want to build another for example, another agent, you can select different model. So that is possible, but not in the agentic orchestration. In agentic orchestration, you simply call that agent. You do not
Oh, I see.
designed anything. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So guys, you can unmute yourself now and you can ask questions.
Hi Satish.
Please, after.
Yeah, hi. As you said that UiPath is going to have a new model for licensing for AI units. So is it going to be a pay per go like kind of model, pay per use kind of model?
Pay, it's not pay per use, but pay per instance of running the agentic orchestration.
Okay. Because in Copilot Studio they have kind of that kind of model where you have pay per use kind of model
No, I mean
as per
it
the
is
messages and everything.
it is very similar on that line, but this is how they are bundling it differently. UiPath is bundling it differently.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hi Satish, Abhijit this side.
Yeah, please.
So I have one question that I believe you did mention that we can use the autopilot feature to generate the workflow in the BPMN. So
That's
could you,
correct.
yeah, how to do?
So what you can do is 2 ways to do it. What you can do is you can go here, start modeling. So when you start modeling, okay, and see, you can see this, open
Oh,
autopilot.
yeah.
Click on open autopilot, this window will come. Say this way you can type the prompt, click here. I hope my model is configured because I keep playing around my instance. So I don't know which model is being used. But yeah, let's wait.
Actually, in my Maestro, this option is not coming to use the autopilot option.
I said you know it is the latest release that happened two days
Oh,
back.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
thinking a little more, so yeah. But I think you got the idea, Abhijit, right?
Ah,
You can see
Yeah,
that.
yes.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it got, yeah,
generated.
it's generated,
it,
yes.
it worked. Right?
Nice.
Right?
Yeah,
So see the beauty, how easy it is, right? Saves a lot of effort and time. And
Thank you, Satish.
you can change this, right? You can change
Yeah.
all of this, so that's not a problem. You can accept it, reject it, change this, anything you can do. Yeah. As
Yeah.
if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, actually, I have a question. Can we include our agents
Can we include?
and these AO models into a solution so that I can our agents that we have created and these AO models in these solutions so that I can export those solution and move it from the dev tenant to the production tenant altogether?
As of now, not. As of now, it is simply the publish is there. So if you go here, the deployment options we are talking about. So as of now, this deployment happens here to the publish. If you see here, publish, right? And it's publish artifact, very similar to what we have the process. So this will be as a part of a process, and then you can solution it.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, so I think we are on time and I don't
Yeah, I
see any
have a
more
final
questions.
question, Mukesh. Yeah, yeah. Can we export
Yeah.
this once
Mhm.
I am done with this orchestration thing? Can I
Mhm.
export this?
Yes, you can. See here, you can download that, put that. I have given a lot many example that I have created or I have modified in the group chat as well. So you can download that, try to play around it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. If nothing much, we can,
Yep.
conclude the call here. Thanks everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Do post on LinkedIn, as Mukesh says, let others know what you are learning, tag us, help us to, grow together. Yeah.
Great. So with that, we can wrap up the session. Andrea, okay, you're around. Yep. Okay. So I think we are good.
They stop sharing mine, and I think we are good to go.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you all for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.